The Kyosho Optima Pro, my favourite vintage Kyosho car of all time. Hey guys, welcome back to what is today Kyosho Legends, and once again, thank you for stopping by. So as promised, it's time to have a look at the Kyosho Optima Pro. Now, if you've seen the first video I did with this, it was a mystery unboxing, and this was sent to me by a lovely gentleman and his son, Keith and Caleb. So a massive thank you to those two again. This was a channel donation because he knew what this particular car meant to me from my sort of RC history back in the day. So again, I just can't thank you enough. I also want to say a massive thank you to Robert for the thumbnail picture. We'll have a look at that car in a little bit more detail as this video goes on. So if you don't know what this car is, this is a Kyosho Optima Pro from late 1986. Very special car to me, and we'll go into that in a bit. But it was a special car for Kyosho as well because it was the last of the Optima chassis before they changed over to the Optima Mid. And we all know how beautiful that car and how successful that car was. So this has got a special place in the Kyosho timeline as well. And as I've said, it is my, including every vintage Kyosho car, the Optima Pro is my favourite. Four-wheel drive, chain driven, and it's just the looks of it, what they did with the body shell and under tray, which again we're going to look at later. But it makes it a very special car. I'll start putting some pictures up now, some of my own and some I've just dragged from the internet. First of all is the sort of Kyosho Optima tree family, as you can see. So the Optima, the original Optima started back in 1985. That particular picture is one that I previously owned and sadly moved on and still regret it. After the Optima came the Javelin. That particular picture is the re version. And then after the Javelin came the Turbo Optima. Again, that's a re in that picture. And then the Salute, and I've never seen a Salute in real life. Absolutely lovely looking thing. I really like that car. Two versions, they're the same though. One was red, one was blue. I prefer the blue one. And then after that came the Optima Pro, as I said, in late 1986. And just what a gorgeous thing. I'll put a picture up of the last Pro that I owned. I had that shell professionally painted. It was a lovely looking thing, and I'd put the gold shocks on it, the Option House gold shocks, because obviously a standard it has red shocks. But again, sadly let that one go. I think there's a couple of Kyosho cars that I've had in the past that need a mention as well. So the first one is this picture. This was a Rocky I had. I've got a lot of love for the Rocky. I just think it's a cracking looking car. I was also lucky enough to own the Turbo Rocky as well, which was the all singing, all dancing version with the Option House platinum shocks and a lovely double deck metal chassis. Again, those were chain driven. I've had quite a few Optima Mids. I've had the completely box art one, which was gorgeous, and I also had this white and blue one, which I really liked. That was a really good looking Optima Mid. And I had an Optima Mid. Sorry, I had an I always get the turbo in the wrong position on this one. It's a Kyosho Turbo Optima Mid. That's the one it is. And that was that was another cracking car. But all those have sadly gone now, and this is my only Kyosho that I now have in my collection, which is super cool. And I'll tell you what I forgot, and I shouldn't have, probably one of the greatest two-wheel drive cars of all time was the Kyosho Ultima, and that's the one I had. That picture's before I did it up, because it had been the white, it looks white, but it was actually silver. So I put a new pair of Bridgestone rear tyres on it and I sprayed it all white, and it was absolutely gorgeous. So why this particular car is special to me, I'm not going to drag this on because I've spoke about it in lots of videos, but basically back in the day when I was club racing on a Saturday morning as a kid, the main chap there ran an Optima Pro, and he was like the main modified man at that small club, and he won everything. But I ended up, I did have a couple of run-ins with him. It was a bit of a dick, if I'm honest, but he was the guy to beat. So and obviously I was running my Thundershot round at that time. So yeah, that was, and there were Optima mids running as well back then. But yeah, it was the Pro. Probably he had the most money, I'm guessing, for the better motors and batteries. So it has a very special place for me. So it was very important that I got one back in my collection today. Just as you guys who watch me regular will know, I've been putting together within my collection things that actually meant something to me from back in the day. Little motors, speed controllers and certain cars. Right, let's drag the camera over and have a close-up on this bad boy. So, look at that. For me, it's the body shell and the under tray that just made this so different from the sort of standard stuff from the Optimas onwards. It's just so low and so sleek looking. It just works. The Optima, the standard Optima, although it's gorgeous, it was quite dated. It was old fashioned looking. Again, just my opinion. Whereas when they went to the Pro shell, it was just sleek and almost futuristic. Absolutely love it. So this is completely original, as you can see. It does have the wrong rear shocks on. I believe they came off the Optima Mid Custom Special, I think it was, which was the cheaper version of one of the mids, although it was a very good looking car, that one. So yeah, we'll be changing those at some point. I actually can't remember, and I should have looked what the shock positions were on the standard Optima, because I think on the Pro it altered. Obviously you've got your shock towers, and then you've got your normal holes in your lower arms for shocks to go. But these actually go into the knuckles. I hope that's coming across on camera. And that's actually front and back as well, which gives you this really splayed shock angle, which is pretty darn cool in my opinion. What I should have said earlier, I've only done a couple of things with this car at the moment, and obviously in the end of this video I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm doing with it. But yeah, the shell wasn't cut right at this end. It still had the cut lights on. It was just coming across basically flat. So I just followed the cut lines on both sides. Now, that's really important because it follows the lines of the under tray. So that was quite important to do. And the only other thing I've done, which was a complete waste of time, but I've actually put some internal shock spacers because it was sat mega high. So I've stuffed some spacers internally, as I said, in the shock, so they're not actually moving and they've gone solid. But again, that was just to have the stance correct for me to look at it while I'm waiting for the other bits to arrive. So chassis-wise, it's a little bit different from your TAMIYA cars, isn't it? You can just about see on that protective cover the actual chain, and then it's a metal ladder frame chassis. And it's got this, I'm presuming, like FRP sort of top deck, metal shock towers front and back. It's, as I say, four-wheel drive, obviously, and it has gear diffs front and back, and all the actual drivetrain on this particular car is really smooth. It's awesome. So as I keep saying about the under tray, this is why it's so special. It's just moulded. The shapes and the lines to this under tray are just absolutely superb. And obviously the beauty of the under tray is it protected your running gear and your insides. But it was the shape, it was so well thought about. And then of course when the main shell's on, when in future when it's finished, it'll be velcroed, and all that shell just wraps right into these shapes, and it's just this one sealed unit. And here she is with the under tray off. And yeah, if you've never seen one, it's very different from TAMIYA, isn't it? Remembering this is 1986, you think what TAMIYA were putting out back then. And Kyosho were in the same sort of boat as TAMIYA at that particular time. Again, the golden era of RC. They were knocking these different variants of cars out for fun. The interesting thing to note, that right back there is actually the steering servo. I've disconnected the arm at the moment, but you get how that works. And then obviously this was designed for electronic speed controller. I believe the top deck is different from a standard Optima, whereas that was made for the mechanical speed controller, but I could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure that's the main chassis difference from a standard Optima. It has the alloy wheel hexes. It has front alloy hubs. Very cool. And these were the basic standard shocks from Kyosho back in the day. The red ones, and unfortunately the collars. To get a decent set now, the collars are usually broken on them, but these two are mint, which is absolutely awesome and smooth. As I say, we will be changing those rears. So yeah, it's the alloy ladder style chassis. And then another thing to note is this gorgeous Kyosho motor it's come with. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this in camera for you. So as you can see, it's a Le Mans 240e. Now it's got timing marks on it as well, which I'm really surprised at. Just having a look over, it looks like it's got bearings in as well. So it looks like it's a modified motor, which is super cool. I've also taken the gearbox cover off so you can see in there. But yeah, I think what I'll just do quickly now, I'll just whiz that motor out and we'll have a good look at it, because that's a particular Kyosho motor I've not seen before. Right, so gearbox cover back on, obviously the motor's out. This is a real bonus, I've got to be honest. You know I love my vintage brush motors, and it's obviously my first Kyosho motor for the collection. And yes, it's full modified, which is awesome. So that means it's got bearings top and bottom, and obviously it's fully rebuildable, and as you can see it has adjustable timing. Now I've just whizzed, have I done this already? I just wanted to look what kind of use it has had, and look at the size of brush. It's almost full, and then when I have a look in certain light you can see the com, and it's pretty shiny. That is incredible. This motor's not ran much at all. Let me just put it back in. I'll put that in the right way. Wires to the top. Sorry guys, but I want to do this now, then I don't forget. Get in. Right. Spring back in. Brush wire. Right. That's awesome. Now that makes a lot of sense, because when I took the pinion off this and I had a look at the rear gearbox, it's all mint condition. This thing has not had a hard life at all, which that just makes it super cool. I'm going to be lazy. If anyone knows this motor and knows what wind it is and what the RPM was listed at 7.2 NiCad, I'd love to know. Save me a job from looking it up. That is absolutely epic. I love that. Obviously, when this car's finished, we will give it a run, and we'll definitely run it with that motor, because that's just going to be mega cool. Right, she's back together. A couple of things to note for me. It's not got full bearings set in it. I don't know if it's got any bearings in it, if I'm honest, because I've not obviously got into it. But the front and rear hubs are bushes. So I will definitely get a set of bearings ordered, a full set of bearings for it when we strip it down and do the restore. And secondly, the one of the turnbuckle ends has cracked. As I was putting some weight on it, the turnbuckle rod pulled out. So I'll have some of those, I'm pretty sure, to fix that up. But again, we'll get into all the detail stuff, because it might need some other parts as we go. But it looks pretty tip-top, if I'm honest. Right, next up, let's have a look at some other stuff I've got for it, and a really cool magazine. So let's get on to the future of this car, because the future is particularly bright for this car. So first up, I have the original manual for it, which is just way cool. This all came with this car. It's absolutely mint, but obviously that allows me to strip this down to the last screw. As I say, we'll fit a full brand new bearing set into it, and we'll just make sure that it's absolutely mint. As you can no doubt see, we've got a reproduction body shell and under tray for it, which is absolutely awesome. Now, if anyone's ever done an Optima Pro and used a reproduction shell, being the TBG shell from eBay, you'll know that it's way smaller than the original, and the cut lines are pretty much non-existent. And trying to make that under tray and shell, a TBG one I'm talking about, fit the car is absolutely horrendous. But I could tell straight away, this isn't TBG. This shell and under tray doesn't look like it's got any protective film on it either, which I've not seen before. So that, for me, rules out that it's not a penguin body shell and under tray, which I believe is super quality. So I'm going to make the call that this is possibly, and most probably, the Marwan reproduction body set. Now, it looks superb, but again, the major cut lines are all missing. So it's going to be a pain to cut out, and I've just sort of measured it up towards the original shell, and lengthwise it's cock on. Now that's the big factor that the TBG one is missing. It's way shorter, which obviously makes it way harder to fit, because with this sleek under tray, this fitment has to be absolutely cock on. So I'm really chuffed about that, because I'd kind of, before I'd looked at it properly, I was thinking I'm going to have the same issues, and I was contemplating stripping this shell of paint and seeing if we could, and doing it that way to keep it all original. Now obviously there's a lot of work in that, but the problem is you can do all that work and you could trash the shell at the end of it. So now that this is the right size, I won't bother. We'll go completely brand new, which is absolutely brilliant. And I also got sent with it, and this is way cool as well, genuine Optima Pro brand new decals for it, which is just mega cool. And I also managed to buy, shout out to Mark if you're watching, the original Radio Control Model Car magazine. And obviously it's with the Optima Pro when it just came out. So it's got a full review of this car in there. And actually this particular magazine has got a lot of TAMIYA reviews as well. It's got the Celica GRB, it's got a Super Sabre, and I think there's one other. So we'll do another magazine look back, another golden era of RC video in the future, because I've got a lot more of other magazines to show you as well. So we'll go into depth in that. But why I wanted this is because of the colour on here. Now, so a massive shout out to Mick at RC Hobby Shed if you're watching, buddy. He's got me a genuine set of original red rear shocks for it, so they'll be on the way to me very soon, which is awesome. I did contemplate whether to go down the option house route and fit it with gold shocks, or even see if I could source the platinum shocks. But then I thought, do you know what? You want this in complete standard form. So yeah, super chuffed I've got the correct original red shocks coming. What else have we got? So we've been through the shell. So now, I need to order a brand new set of the Marwan Bridgestone tyres. I'll order a full set. These aren't bad, but I can use these to run it, and then I can have the Marwan ones looking all pretty and new, and we'll do the full tyre writing on them as well, and it just looks so cool. So all that process will be done, and then we finally get to the main bit for me, which is the actual body shell and what I'm going to do with it. Right, paint scheme wise, and again, this is the most important bit for me. I wanted to replicate what that guy's car was back in the day, but my memory is shocking at 47 years old. It was predominantly white, and from memory it had blue in it. I don't remember it being full box art. It was just the colours white and blue, I remember. So I've been humming and hawing. So here's what I'm going to do. So these pictures I'm showing you now, shout out to Robert, is pretty much complete box art from Kyosho. Now, you don't get none of those. You get the basic number decals and the writing decals, but all the brown and the red and the black lines, that's all paint. So it's a very involved shell. So this will be getting sent away to get done, but it's only going to have the actual box art pattern, the shapes. So obviously we've got that bit at the front, the bit on the back of the roof that goes to the back, the sides, and then the bits on the top of the sides. But this is where then this magazine comes into play, because this really did jog my memory. And when I saw the colours in the magazine, I was like, right, so we're going to go box art shape wise. It's going to look identical to box art in the painted shapes on it, but it's going to be in the two-tone blue colour. So the car will be all white, and then again using those two blues. So the darker will be the outline of the pattern, and then obviously the lighter blue. And I think we'll go black outline. I think we'll do the shape in a very thin black outline, and then we'll do the first part in the dark blue, and then that'll fade into the lighter blue to fill the main section in. And then after the patterns, it's just obviously the rest of the It is in white, the under tray is white, and then the decals do the rest. I honestly think it is going to look absolutely superb. I really do. I get excited about most projects, as you know, but as I say, because I've got such a strong link and bond to this car from my RC past, it has to look 100% perfect for me, and it'll be going away to a professional painter to get done, which is costly, but it kind of guarantees that I'm gonna get what I want when it comes back. So yeah, I think we've just about covered everything. So sorry if this was a very long-winded video, but there was a lot to get through, and again, it's just such a special car. And who knows, maybe once this is all done, I might go looking to get an Optima Mid for myself again. I don't know, we'll see. So my friends, once again, thanks so much for watching. It is massively appreciated. If this is the first time you've come across my channel, if you could maybe consider giving this video a like and maybe subscribe, that only helps to support what I do. And I'll end that video now, my friends. As always, happy RCing.